Huge thanks to Vantic for sponsoring today's event. Since 2015, Vantic has been the leader in developing intelligent, real-time applications that leverage AI and event-driven architectures with solutions that run seamlessly across cloud and edge environments. Vantic empowers businesses to orchestrate processes efficiently and drive modern innovations. Your support fuels progress in technology and beyond. Thank you, Vantic. Again, so this panel is going to be on cybersecurity and quantum resilience. This panel unites experts in digital security and blockchain to address cybersecurity challenges in the quantum era. Speakers include Javon Swint. Is that how you say the name? Javon. Trying to make it correct. You know, when you read it, I mean, if I would have seen your face, I would have said it right. But, you know, I'm reading it here, so it's always a challenge here. Of the Government Blockchain Association, and he'll be discussing blockchain's role in government security along with his panelists. Please welcome Javon.
Hello, everyone. We are going to have an exciting meeting today. I'm so excited. We're going to be talking about quantum resilience and cybersecurity in this era. What I would like to do is introduce Mr. Kevin Jackson. He is going to give us an introduction so you all will be understanding on what we're going to talk about.
Thanks, Javon. So thank you, Javon, and thank you all for joining us for this unique and very appropriate, I would say, topic when you're talking about security, blockchain, digital assets. Cyber is something that's right there, that's dangerous, and the first thing you say is, what is quantum? So this topic is really focused on how cybersecurity and quantum resilience, what that means to your organization. How do you do that? What do you think when you are developing solutions? This is really a frontier in modern digital defense. So if you want to, you know, get on your horse and ride out towards the sunset, this is what you're doing. Hopefully you'll make it back. But taming this frontier really requires the blending of advanced security protocols with emerging quantum technologies. The panel, I'm going to leave it to the panel to describe to you what these quantum technologies are. But in order to protect against these quantum threats, you're really, you know, focused on fighting this potentially enhanced computational power of quantum computers. And this is a profound risk to current encryption technologies and capabilities. Algorithms that we use every day, like RSA and ECC, these are foundational to our strategies in today's digital world. And they rely on the computational complexities of factoring large numbers and solving these logarithmic problems. You know, when's the last time you thought about logarithms? High school? All right, and now we got new problems to solve. These quantum algorithms, like Shor's algorithms, really threaten to break these cryptographic codes. And it makes traditional encryption vulnerable to future quantum-powered landscape. Did you know that in October, this is November, right? I'm talking about last month, October 2024, the Chinese claimed to have broken the RSA algorithm with a quantum computer. Are you scared now? Is Q Day here? Don't believe the hype. All right. Yes, they broke an RSA encryption algorithm with quantum. It was a D-Wave computer. It had 5,760 cubic machine that was created by D-Wave Quantum, which is a California company. All right. Now, what the news sensational headlines failed to disclose was that they only used 50-bit in the RSA encryption algorithm. Today, these algorithms use between 1,024 and 2,048-bit integers. So is it Q Day? Nah, not quite. But it portends what's coming down the pike. Quantum resilience in cybersecurity is a proactive response to this threat. It encompasses the development of quantum-safe solutions, such as lattice-based cryptography and hash-based cryptography. The National Institute of Standards and Technologies has known this for a while. They've been working hard, and they have standards, and they have solutions that we can all use. We just have to have our eyes open. We have to know. We have to be professionals. How many professionals out there? Okay? So quantum resilience is also not limited to quantum-safe cryptography. It includes things like quantum key distribution and other protocols that secure communications. As industries and governments recognize the impending arrival of Q Day, integrating quantum resilience into the cybersecurity strategies is paramount. You need to understand your problem before you can solve it. And a strategy of putting your head in a hole is not going to work. So by blending traditional cybersecurity with quantum-resistant approaches, organizations can future-proof their systems, building a resilient framework ready for the challenges posed by a quantum-enabled world. So thank you very much, and I'll invite the rest of the panel up so we can have a more detailed discussion about quantum resilience and cybersecurity.
Hello. Okay. All righty, everyone. That was a very interesting introduction. So now what I'm going to have everyone do is please pay close attention, because I'm sure you'll learn something new. What I would like to do now is have the panelists introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hello, John Medellin, 30 years with Pricewaterhouse and IBM. Left them in corporate world about 12 years ago. I'm an academician, I guess, since then. I've got a PhD in software engineering with a minor in computer engineering. I've been investigating blockchain now for about 8 years. I've got 10 published works and a patent, including peer-reviewed articles. Most of my focus is on IoT security today, using blockchain to distribute computation rather than having the computation be executed at the end, which is the typical key exchange. Glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. As I've said many times, I am the operational executive for the National DigiFoundary, but the other hat I wear is the vice president of space communications for Forward Edge AI. Forward Edge is sitting at the forefront of quantum-resistant encryption. Some of the projects that I'm working on, applicable to this conference, is our Isidore quantum encryption, inline encryption solution, which protects communication systems and is agnostic of the transport layer. It's in a package that's the size of a credit card. It weighs about 100 grams and only takes about 5 watts of power. And we're launching it in a CubeSat to protect both intersatellite and satellite to ground stationed communications. And it's quantum resistant now. And these are the types of technologies that can be used to harden your infrastructure right now.
Hello, my name is Jordon Kestner, so I'm probably the least qualified individual on the stage. However, I've been using blockchain in emergency management and related to distributed operations for the DoD, so little involved, utilizing the ability to do distributed and dynamic asset management, utilizing blockchain to keep up with where things are, where they're going, why they need to be there, and can you do it in a qualified time in order to actually deliver for missions. So mission critical operations utilizing blockchain.
Great. We have some interesting panelists. Now, a question that I would like to ask our panelists, what is quantum computing and how is it different than the computers that we use every day?
Sure. So, I'm not a physicist, and I don't play one on TV. But quantum computing actually leverages quantum physics, the ability of electrons to transmit their state, what they are doing immediately to a paired electron. And when you think about computing, it's all about ones and zeros. And if you have a pair of electrons that can transmit if they are at a 1 or a 0, and then immediately tell its brother or sister a billion miles away what they are, then the other one becomes the opposite. And this means immediate communications, independent of distance. Now, you can use that capability to solve problems in parallel. Any number of problems in parallel. And one of the biggest problems, the one we're talking about, is decrypting or finding, leveraging brute force, a key for cryptography, which will break everything that we do today. Does that make sense? Where's the physicist going to tell me I'm wrong?
Okay.
Well, because quantum computing allows, like he's saying, things to happen at speeds that were, incomprehensible prior to this. So financial quantum systems are obviously going to allow you to get ahead of markets, but more importantly about medical delivery of medications, and can you do that in a format that's encrypted and trusted, because if the information is not trusted and you deliver the wrong medications to the person because you've had a man-in-the-middle attack on a high-value target, now we have a big issue. So you got to make sure that the encryptions, the data, the information, everything can be trusted, everything can be utilized, and can it be done in a distributed manner without adversaries being able to take control of markets, which will come into play for supply chains and for actual operations.
So bytes and bits and bytes, right? Bits and ones and zeros, and these things are based on a thing called a qubit, which is both a 1 and 0. And so my colleague explained that really it is a set of electrons communicating, and there's two main properties that we have here. So just think these are like two electrons, doing their orbit. And then, so the first one is going to be entanglement, which means that they're communicating, right? So there's two principles in quantum computing. One is entanglement, and another one is superposition, so that they're exactly the opposite, right? So remember that, entanglement and superposition. That's going to give them the ability to solve all solutions for a particular problem, right? So if you, I don't know, a plus b squared, and you want to know all particular variables of a discrete set, meaning that there's a finite answer. This is very key for encryption. If there's a finite answer, they can do it all at once. That's kind of what Shor's algorithm does, because things like RSA do computation and recomputation, 30 to 50 times, right? So the quantum computer will go in there and compute all of them instantly, and will reveal all set. Now, us as humans probably saying, well, that's way too much answer. And that is true, my friends and colleagues, because it is too much answer. So one of the things about quantum computing is the ability to distill through all the maze of stuff. But if you use another quantum computer to do that, then you have a prayer of getting there. So effectively what ends up happening is they can do all the answer sets related to a particular encryption, and then the work begins to say, which one is it? And they do that again. So Shor's algorithm today breaks an RSA, a decent RSA, in about 10 to 12 hours, okay, with the 32 qubit machine. We did that at IBM. However, a normal, say a high-end Intel machine would probably take anywhere from a month and a half or so to break the same encryption with a brute force attack. I don't know if that just confused the issue, but remember, entanglement and superposition. Those are the two things.
Great answer. Now, why might quantum computing, why does it matter for cybersecurity?
Well, so the AES 256 is basically child's play at that point, and that's kind of your standard for the last 20 years. We've taken a multifaceted approach to our encryptions and utilizing waveform encryption. So our base level is 512 bit, and then we'll go up to 51,200. You don't really know where we're at in the process, which is part of the algorithm itself. Then we use multi-factor authentication. We actually have a calculus equation that turns the encryption into a three-dimensional shape. Then that shape gets shattered and broken back into the network. And then on the receiving end, the hash equation actually reassembles the three-dimensional shape. And if they don't match, not just in the size and the shape, but we actually do pitch and yaw and spin to that as well. And it has to be spinning in the right direction with the right tilt. There's multiple layers to how you get to this point. But point being is that we can do this, and we can do it 10 times faster than AES right now, even hitting all of those encryption levels. And then that can at least put some sort of resistance on a PQC level. It far surpasses the NIST requirements currently. But if we don't, pretty much every computer on the planet is going to get hacked, kind of like the SolarWinds type situation. If they gain trusted credentials set in a network, or if they gather data now and then decrypt it later, which will prove to be very vulnerable to networks in the future. So,
Great answer.
So a dirty little secret in cryptography and in IT is that nothing is perfect. When you when you encrypt something, it's not perfect protection. The stronger your encryption, it only means the longer it takes for someone to decrypt it. So the question is, how long do you need to be protected? If I need to be protected for 3 centuries, I need a long key. If I need to be protected for 3 hours, I can use a shorter key. If I need to be protected for 3 seconds, an even shorter key. So another way of protecting yourself is to change keys often. And change keys faster than your adversary can decrypt what you already have. That's the approach that we have for our quantum-resistant solution. Endpoints autonomously change their keys in real time in a either predetermined or variable interval from every 2 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 seconds. So an attack would only be effective if it was successful for a limited period of time until the key is changed. That way, you can protect yourself against quantum using standard cryptography. This is why it's important.
Well, I couldn't agree more with, can you hear me? I couldn't agree more with my colleague. Actually, you know, randomization is really the enemy of the quantum computer, right? So if you can randomize and you can regenerate and you can rekey yourself frequently, and it all depends on the level of protection that you need, I think that's a very important concept to get here. Another important concept is that quantum computers are not going to be here tomorrow because they're still, if you look at a 32-qubit quantum computer, it's about, you know, half the size of this floor right now. Now, we all remember, or at least in history, you know, the first computer was about the size of this floor. So, but there will be a reduction, and there will be a, you know, sort of a consumer-level quantum computer. I personally think that that's probably 8 years away, but in the government, you see, our adversaries, the main four, are acquiring this technology. And that's what scares me the most, is that, you know, protecting nation states, it will be a frontier. So, and it's going to come here quickly, probably within a couple of, you know, a year or two. I think you know, our adversaries, if they don't have it already, you mentioned the Chinese already do. That's right. You know, shame on people who sell it to them, but, you know, in personal opinion, by the way. And so, but one of the things I wanted to also share with you is that the GPU revolution is also getting to the point to where that particular capability will be available for breaking encryption. Okay, so it's not going to be like using qubits. These are actually, you know, standard. Think of how many pixels you have on your PC today. Well, that's the number of CPUs that you have on a GPU right now. So that can also be used to offend. Now, the importance of doing this is that, for example, think of a blockchain trade in security, you know, and someone goes in there and actually hacks the encryption. It's not a miner. It's just a person doing a man-in-the-middle attack. You know, they now have the identity of that security and can do bad stuff with it. Okay.
Something to keep in mind on the number generation is not to use an algorithm necessarily, because then that's going to get hacked by a quantum computer in itself. So we try to use entropy sources for our random number generation. One system that we use is in a tube and has like thousands of pieces of beads in it. With water, and it's pumping air through it. So as the beads are hitting each other, it creates entropy. Then they take like a high-speed camera to kind of screenshot the positioning of the dots, and then this creates a QR code that you can then scan. So pretty interesting. But then that way the numbers aren't coming from any type of computer-generated source.
Great. And I want everyone to keep in mind this: the things that you see on TV are pretty much probably declassified. So for all my people that's in DoD, military, you know there is a thing called things that are classified. So just kind of think about that for a minute. If you're hearing things on TV that this, you know, isn't here yet or it's almost here, imagine what's going on in the classified sector. So with that being said, why do you guys think that the quantum computers might potentially break the locks that we have on our computers, like email passwords, bank account passwords? Why do you think that's potentially possible now?
Because it's not potential. They've already done it. It's already a fact. So the biggest challenge when it comes to quantum computing and quantum encryption and protection thereof is ourselves. Because, you know, when your eyes glazed over about entanglement and superposition, the next step is to put it away and give it to somebody else, because humans like to press the easy button. How many professionals are in here? Professionals don't press the easy button. So if we do our jobs, we'll learn what superposition is and entanglement and solutions that exist today to protect.
Yeah, well, Dr. Shore published his algorithm back in the, I think it was late 90s. So, you know, this particular, we only have really two algorithms for using quantum computing today, okay, that are net quantum computing. One of them is Shore's. But Shore's has been around for a long time. So this professor showed that it could be done, you know, a while back. Now that is a published work, and that's available to everybody under the sun. So many people have that already and can use that algorithm. Of course, you know, building a quantum computer is not just a trivial thing. It's like mega, you know, rocket science physicist in there. But you know, I think it's there. It's done. I mean, there's experiments. It's like you know, finding the next prime number. The latest one is 75 million digits. You know, there's people actually still studying this stuff and trying to rationalize, you know, how to really restate the mathematical equations that are coming, or the mathematical results that are coming out of Shore, and change the variables in order to collapse variables, right? So we do that in that variable reduction constantly. And it's probably the subject of a lot of PhD students out there. I mean, there's more dissertations on this than the phone book can you know, can attest. So there's a lot of people working on it, trying to simplify it, and it's already been done. So now we're in the process of trying to make it more efficient. Hence, more intense keys need to be developed, and more randomization needs to be put into the algorithm, so to make it safe.
Yeah, with like the SolarWinds attack, you know, that was a kind of sit and wait, gain trusted credentials, get further and exploit the network even more. And then that basically opened all government computers. And that was a pretty recent attack. So being able to have the randomization, having a human factor, even though that seems counterintuitive, it's harder for a quantum computer to mimic a human. So when you have that multi-factor authentication in it, it can help from a biometric standpoint. There's a few different ways you can do that. So if you look into DoD and classified space and like CMMC level 7 facilities, those type of places don't just use algorithmic approaches for their cryptography. Most of the, like even with the NSA, so like the tube thing I was telling you about with the beads, the NSA has an entire wall of lava lamps. So there's like 1,000 lava lamps and they're all bubbling, and then that creates the encryption. So
Great. Great answer. What is quantum safe and why is it important for our data?
I don't know what is quantum safe. So far, it's we have theories of what's quantum safe. We can test it to an extent, but then we're also kind of in the early stages on both sides. So I think really focusing on driving the defense against this, okay, think about it like this. Like if you create body armor, someone's going to create some armor piercing bullet. Then someone's going to create body armor, someone's going to create a bullet, and back and forth. So I feel like that's kind of like where we're at with cryptography to an extent.
I sort of think of it in a different way. Is life possible without water? We only believe life is not possible without water because we haven't discovered life without water. I don't think quantum safe is possible. I believe we just haven't discovered all of the possibilities when it comes to quantum.
I'm used to defining safety in a mathematical format, and really I use it for testing chips, if you will. So if A not B, right? To get to that level of definition is very intense. All the way from Bryant's algorithm, published in the late 80s. We've been trying to rationalize what safety is in circuits. Now imagine in a qubit circuit, that could probably, the mathematical complexities, that's an NP complex problem that cannot be easily solved with our economic means. So I would say that I would tend to agree that we could have potentially one PhD student who publishes a quantum safe for one particular encryption key, but that's where it heads to. So as far as safety, like I would say, it's a formal mathematics definition that is very hard to implement.
Are there any examples of industries and organizations that are preparing for quantum computers?
Well, you just mentioned DoD. How about your infrastructure? We've already had infrastructure attacks by traditional computers. Think Ukraine. They are attacked daily on their infrastructure. So healthcare. Everyone here is doing blockchain. So I would say every industry.
I would agree. I mean, as a retired IBMer, I guess I can still call myself an IBMer. IBM has been investing in this technology now for probably 20 years, I would say. We were the first ones to have a qubit computer. And so the preparation has been there. The issue is going to come down to dollars and cents, and I think, the U.S. government and our allies in friendly environments can probably begin to invest in this, and they are. Realize a lot of the quantum computing theory is coming from the United Kingdom as well. So our allies and ourselves are working on this as well.
Great answer. Now, what can people, regular people, in businesses do to prepare for these changes?
Go through a BMM.
Know your data. Know what data is important to you and the level of importance, because that's going to drive your cost. If you need to protect everything, then you're going to have empty pockets. So know what you need to protect and focus on that.
I agree with that totally. I mean, and also there is some value in Fred Flintstone style protection. I was working with a Longview Water Board, and they're still working on TTY today, and they say we would challenge anybody to try and communicate. So if you have older decrepit infrastructures, don't think that they're going to be that bad. But I would definitely focus on, the high-value targets, because that's what they're going to want too, as well. And regenerate, keep up with all of your security procedures. I just can't, stress that enough. That's really where most of the vulnerabilities come today, and they'll continue to do that, except they'll be in spades in the future.
One thing I'd also like to add is the importance of your own personal data. Our society has not evolved to the point where we think about protecting our own personal data that much. Yeah, you have your own password. Yeah, you change it every 3 or 4 years. And you give away your personal data every time you touch your smartphone. But blockchain, artificial intelligence, new businesses are now making it possible for you to actually identify where your personal data is, who's using your personal data, and now they're giving you a way of controlling that. So my biggest recommendation is start protecting your own personal data, and then you'll be in a position to start working on protecting your organization's data.
So, if it's a company that wants to do something in blockchain or artificial intelligence that doesn't know that world yet, that's kind of a different process. But if you're already in it and you understand it, then going through a BMM and getting GRC compliance for United States companies and things like that, ISO 27000, those type of things would be very helpful.
Great. Now, a lot of people in our audience are pretty new, and a lot of people in the audience have businesses. What can they do to actually stay up to date about this information? How can they prepare from a research perspective of knowing what's actually true versus just what's on the internet?
How much you want to read? How much time do you have?
There's a few resources that I know, like Stanford has an online lab that's worth looking at. There's a few different resources on YouTube that aren't just YouTube sources. They're actually accredited universities that are putting up their labs and information. So that'd probably be a good source.
I'd recommend the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, NIST. Read what they're doing. Read their standards, understand what they're doing, but only you can understand what it means to your business and your activities.
They just put out requirements.
Yeah,
right?
yes. So NIST is a huge reference.
I would echo that. I would also say that look at the United Kingdom, and actually the United Nations also has a couple of good guidelines as well.
Okay. With that being said, what do you all feel is the future of cybersecurity? What do you think it'll look like within the next 10 or 20 years?
Holograms everywhere. I can't predict. I wish I could predict the future, then I wouldn't be here, right? I'd be on a beach in Bali or somewhere. But it's going to be different, and it's going to be needed. That's all I can say.
Most of the data is so dynamic that being able to get an encryption that can do like line wire speed on a wireless network will be very important, and being able to trust the data. So the encryption allows us to add provenance to the data, and then that way we can at least make decisions in important industries. And then, like to his point, he was saying that we need to know your data and know what to encrypt and what level to encrypt it. That will kind of break down that noise over time.
I think the metrics will change. Today we're mostly focused on the attack, the level of penetration, the severity of it. But I think in the future, we're probably going to be beginning to merge different kinds of data and really begin to determine better the provenance of attacks. Today, we can just determine if it was an adversary or maybe the group. But I think as we mix more personal data and business data and every kind of data, we need to be able to detect, like when you buy a picture or a painting, they have the provenance. We need to get to the provenance level of the attack quicker than what we have right now.
Sounds like blockchain to me.
Yep.
Okay. So for the local, state, and governments that are here today in the audience, is this something that they should act on now, or should they sit and wait?
They've sat and wait too long already, so get moving.
Yeah, they're past the starting gate. You're already behind.
I would echo that, unless you're, the Longview Water Board, and they're not going anywhere. But yeah, you need to start right now, because you got to get funding, right? And that's a big thing in government. So
We have to trust the sources. So again, iterating BMMs for any type of solution to make sure that it does qualify. That way the government can feel easier about purchasing it. And then test beds, being able to put it into live test bed locations throughout the U.S. or world. And then that way we can have true validation.
Okay, great. Well, I want to let everyone know that these three amazing gentlemen, hopefully you learned something about quantum today. And I want to go ahead and end the panel session. We're actually right on time to end it. And thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
thank you.
Obviously, one of the things that we need to do is to have